I'm with my friend Paul from Key Insurance. This is another segment of preparing your home for the hurricane. Now, Paul, owner and operator of Key Insurance, he knows everything about insurance there is to know, and I trust him with a lot of insurance things. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to insurance, a lot of people don't realize what they're missing when it comes to a hurricane. Like they find out after the hurricane comes through and after things have been destroyed. What do people not realize that they're not covered on?
Yeah, the biggest issue we see there is flood. Because even when it floods during a hurricane, you still need a separate flood policy to cover you for that damage. We saw that happen a lot when Hurricane Ivan came through Pensacola 15 years ago.
Right.
So best thing I can say, flood insurance is just never a bad idea. I know a lot of times the mortgage company doesn't require it if you're not in a high risk zone.
Right.
But statistics show 27% of all flood claims happen in a low risk area where flood insurance is not required. So it's never a bad idea to buy it. And typically in those low risk zones, flood insurance is relatively inexpensive. So that's the biggest thing we see that's missing from the homeowner policy that can hurt you during a hurricane.
Right. Okay. Good. So I know that when a hurricane is approaching, and it might be hundreds of miles away, and it might make a difference on whether you can get hurricane insurance. As a realtor, I deal with this all the time because I have a buyer who, we're ready to close on the house, but they didn't get the insurance lined up yet, and then here comes a hurricane. Now, before, that used to be, if it's in the Gulf of Mexico, then you can't get that insurance. But now, is that different?
Yeah, it has, as predictions have become more sophisticated and more accurate, it has narrowed a little bit, but it still varies from one company to the next. What a lot of carriers go by now is once there's a warning or watch issued anywhere in the state of Florida, they'll turn off the coverage until that storm passes. So it may not necessarily be a storm that's going to affect our area, but it could still prevent us from writing coverage. So, and typically when that happens, we're not able to write coverage for maybe 3 or 4 days. So it's always a good idea to get the insurance bound a couple weeks before the closing to avoid delays like that.
Right. Yeah. Now, and that is for not just people buying houses, but also people that want to beef up their insurance. They hear about a storm that's coming, they say, I'm going to call my insurance agent, but that's not always possible, right?
That's a good point, because not only can we not write new coverage, but we can't make changes to existing policies either.
Right.
So you can't call up and increase your coverage or lower your deductible right before the storm happens. So it's always a good idea to make sure that's in place before hurricane season starts.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. So what can be done to improve coverage?
Well, the biggest thing I would say on that is just to review your policy periodically to make sure that as your needs change, your coverage changes to match. Oftentimes we'll see, maybe a homeowner that has had a policy for a few years. Maybe they've made additions to the home, or just building costs have increased, which would, mean that they need more coverage.
Right.
And if they haven't updated the policy to match, they may find themselves underinsured when a storm comes through or a claim happens. So just an annual review is a good idea. We encourage our clients to call us or come in and sit down so we can go over the policy together and make sure that they're where they need to be.
Okay, I am Rob of Rob Brooks Realty, Paul of Key Insurance, and this is preparing your home for the hurricane. Thanks for watching.